All right, guys, welcome back. I'm going to try and do this series a little bit more often. It's going to be about gaming news, particularly within the last week, but um, I'm going to try and do it. I kind of like to do these things and find out all the news that came out. And if you guys like it, I'll keep on doing it. So, without further ado, let's get into it. We're going to start off with the games that release this week, or at least the notable games. So the first one is Ready or Not. If you guys haven't heard of this game, it's like a SWAT game, which is 1 to 4 players online, or you could play it single player. And the game has been in early access for, I would think, about 1 or 2 years. So I played it when it first came out into early access, and it was pretty good back then, believe it or not, for being like an early access title. And now 1.0 came out recently. So pretty much what that adds, the notable things is an Iron Man mode, which sounds really, really cool. It's a permadeath style option for hardcore players. Once you're dead, your save is deleted. So I think that's more of like a single player type mode. It seems like most of this gameplay has I mean most of this like these updates for 1.0 revolve more around single player. So they added a Iron Man mode, a stress system that punishes a team for acting outside of the use of force continuum or otherwise putting lives in danger. So that's kind of cool that you have a stress system now. New SWAT AI. So this again for single player, your teammates will be more capable of clearing rooms in a truly lifelike fashion. A new tablet system where objectives and other elements of the UI that were previously I don't know that word, have been moved to the tablet, which is to be opened by pressing tab. So they improved the tablet system. Um, and you guys could read through this. I'll link this down below if you guys are interested, because there's a good amount of patch notes here that I didn't want to go through, like new levels, new weapons, and everything. So if you guys would like to look at it, just look in the description below. Moving on to an indie game, Against the Storm. This recently released. It was previously in early access and it released on December 8th. So this is a roguelike city builder, which has obviously received very positive reviews here. So if you guys would like to play this, go ahead. It just came out and they had a 1.0 update as well that they added a few things wherever the patch notes are. And I will again link this down below. It's on Steam, and I don't believe it's on anything else. I don't think it's on Epic or anything or on console, but I could be wrong. This one is a little indie game that I just wanted to highlight really quick. It came out as of this recording yesterday. And honestly, if you guys liked uh, Oxygen Not Included, it seems like it's kind of like a copy of that, but in a different setting. It's you build and manage your magic school, and then you go down below to fight things. So it's kind of like, I guess, the opposite of Oxygen Not Included, where you're going up. Um, but it looks really cool. And the thing is it's published by Clay Publishing, which I guess is like a new publishing company, because previously, especially on Oxygen Not Included, it was Clay Entertainment that published it. So I think they're getting into publishing now. Um, if you look here, Clay, this is what Clay has developed so far. So they're the developers of Don't Starve and Oxygen Not Included. Their two biggest games so far. And if you were a fan of Oxygen Not Included, I definitely take a look at Mind Over Magic. Up next with some more Steam information. So the Steam Workshop got a few new quality of life features, which is great. If you've used the Steam Workshop in the past, it really hasn't been updated in a long, long time, it seems. So now you could filter your list by name or tag. So when you had downloaded mods before, you couldn't really filter them too well to see which ones you've had. You had to go down the list and then to the next page, down the list to the next page, which was very tedious. So now you could filter it by name. You could disable items from being loaded to your game. So I'm assuming this means that if you have um, a lot of mods downloaded for a particular game. And in this case, if you didn't want like EDB prepared carefully for RimWorld, you could just uncheck this or something similar, and then this mod would not be loaded by the game, which would be really, really nice. Instead of having to undownload it and then re-download it later when you wanted it. And then another notable thing is that you have the ability to subscribe to an item and all the items it depends on. So if a mod depends on a certain other mod in order to function, it'll download both instead of having to search for the dependable, which is definitely a great quality of life feature. Obviously, not everyone downloads mods through the Steam Workshop and everything, but I think now that it got a few quality of life updates, more people would be willing to. I know for me, I have in the past, and it's been very annoying. So, yeah. So I think that this is a good update. Better late than never, I guess. And finally, for the Steam news, is Steam announced more 2024 Steam sales and fests. So what this means is that they're going to have more sales, at least for the first half of 2024. So previously announced, they announced all of these Steam sales. So usually they're kind of for a certain sector. So like capitalism and economy games, pirates and ninja games, yada, yada, yada. These are the additional events that they announced. So FPS Fest, which will run April 15th to the 22nd, Farming Fest, April 29th to May 6th, Endless Replayability Fest, May 13th to the 20th, Open World Survival Crafting Fest, May 27th to June 3rd, Next Fest, June 10th to the 17th. And then I don't know why this is in here. They have Steam Summer Sale every year, just maybe they haven't announced it so far this year yet. But that's going to run from June 27th to July 11th. So all these new events, honestly, I kind of like all these genres. So this should be pretty cool that they're adding these additional events, and we'll see how it plays out. Hopefully they keep adding more sales because um, Steam doesn't, or in the past, I mean, they've been getting better, but in the past, it was really only like four major seasonal sales that they had. And so far, within the past couple of years, they've definitely been adding more sales here. So hopefully they continue on that trend. Next up is Total War's leadership team has a message. So if you guys have heard of Total War Warhammer 3, they had a DLC called Shadows of Change, which was not, it was mostly negative reviewed on Steam. And they're pretty much apologizing for that. So they said, we're targeting a major update to Shadows of Change, which will arrive free for everyone who owns it. We have the goal of releasing this update in February 2024, at which point it will become part of the package for everyone who buys the game in the future. So they're trying to fix the DLC and try and right their wrongs, which is definitely kind of unprecedented in today's day and age. So I'm happy to see that they're recognizing that maybe their DLC wasn't the best, and that they're coming back and trying to fix that for all the people that bought it and for the people that buy it in the future. And they said making this right is important to us, and to do this properly. So Thrones of Decay will move out of its intended release window of winter 2023, and they're looking to launch this new DLC in April 2024. So definitely time will tell to see how they um, right the wrong of Shadows of Change, and then also to see if Thrones of Decay has better reception when that comes out. But it's definitely good to see these game companies and studios admit their faults and try and fix um, what they released to the public. They also released, I believe, in September or October, Total War Pharaoh, and that also did not get that great of reviews. So this studio has, within the past couple of months, been striking out a lot. So what they're doing, which I have really never seen before, especially from a AAA studio, is In the next few days, all current owners of Total War Pharaoh will see that Steam has processed a partial refund for you. So they're every Total War owner will get a partial refund, and this is because they're lowering the game to $39.99. So because of the price decrease, they're giving everybody the price decrease, which is pretty honorable in my opinion. So we'll see how that works out if they continue to improve this game as well, because this game also did not get very good reviews. I believe it's mixed on Steam. So we'll see. And then they just continue to apologize and say that they're going to try and improve in the future and not have this happen again. If you guys want to read through all this, I will link this down in the description for you guys. But I definitely think this is pretty reputable from the Total War leadership team. Next up, the biggest name in gaming this week, the day before. I just wanted to point out a few things. Obviously, the day before had a huge mishap, and they went from releasing the game one day to the studio closing down over the weekend, pretty much. The game was released, I believe, on a Thursday, and the studio shut down on the following Monday, which is really crazy. I mean, you would think that the studio would at least stay open and try and fix some things for at least a month or two to see if they could turn the game around. Kind of like a No Man's Sky situation. But it seems like they didn't either have the funds to do that, or they just tried to run with the sales that they got, which is very weird. But then they ended up refunding all the all the all the purchasers. So very weird. Anyway, IGN, they had a review. They say a day late and more than a few dollars short as a play on the words of the title of the game. And then if you go down here, the verdict, they said the day before is easily one of the worst games I've ever played, to the point where I'm afraid to continue running it on my PC. So I didn't think that it was that bad. I personally didn't buy it. I was kind of waiting, but from the videos and stuff that I watched, it looked like it definitely had potential to be good. Obviously, it wasn't there yet, and everything was kind of seemed a little rushed, but I definitely think it had some potential to turn the ship around. So I wouldn't call it one of the worst games, I think. But then again, I never played it. So we'll take this guy's word for it. But he essentially gave it a one, calling it unbearable. So that's actually the lowest game score I've really ever seen. So that's kind of crazy. But he gave it a 1 out of 10. So kind of crazy how the day before became it was the top wish listed game on Steam, and then it became like the worst game ever, which is quite the turn of events for them. Another thing on the day before, so apparently it sold 200,000 units and it had 91,000 refunds on the same day. So pretty much 50% of the units sold refund on the same day of release, which is really, really crazy. Leaked data from a conversation with Fantastic CEO revealed that 46% of players requested refunds through Steam within a 2 hour window. In numbers, out of 201 units that were sold on launch, around 91,000 were subsequently returned for a refund. So that is actually kind of crazy. I'm kind of curious to see if it was the most refunded game on Steam. I mean, now it seems by their Twitter that they refunded everybody's units, but um, it's kind of crazy that within like 2 hours, 50% of the people refunded. It's also kind of crazy that on its first day, the player's game count decreased by 75 to 85%. And by the next day, it was no longer listed among Steam's global top sellers. So they really missed the mark here. And it just goes to show that gameplay videos and stuff, which they really didn't release gameplay, but any like sort of hype video that they released should not be taken seriously until the game actually comes out for people to get their hands on it. They also said that it was supposed to be an MMO, and then it ended up being an extraction shooter. So I don't know where the the lines were missed along the lines, but I just don't understand how they try and market it as an MMO and then it becomes an extraction shooter. Anyway, moving on to the next piece of news, No Man's Sky. They recently revealed a new game called Light No Fire, which will apparently let you climb mountains that are miles high, taller than Everest. So they're really going for the gusto here, and they're kind of promising the world where, uh, kind of like what they did with No Man's Sky, and say that it's going to be a huge world, and pretty much they're going to say, uh, a game that generates first real open world in video games on a single fantasy planet that's bigger than Earth and without boundaries. So they're kind of promising like a huge world that's procedurally generated. The mountains are super high. And that's kind of what they did with No Man's Sky. So hopefully they don't make the same mistake before and kind of release like a game in a crappy state and then take years after it releases to kind of fix it all up. Obviously, they have the reputation now that whatever they release, even if it is in a bad state, players will probably realize that it's going to be fixed within the next coming years, and that it won't be abandoned. Kind of like the previous game that we were talking about the day before. But still, I think that they should really try and release a good game. For release and not have to do subsequent patches for years to get the game into the state that it should have released at. Um, Moving on to a little more game sound news. So, Call of Duty, the new one, is the worst reviewed Call of Duty to date, and it has already outsold Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which, in my opinion, is kind of crazy. I guess any game that has Call of Duty in front of it will sell no matter what. Um, so that is kind of crazy. And this is a snapshot from Matt Piscella, but I also have his full tweet from Twitter here, which kind of shows the same thing, but more. So in November 2023, Call of Duty Modern Warfare was ranked number one behind, this is for November only, but Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 was ranked number one behind Spider Man, Hogwarts, Madden. So that is kind of crazy that it's the worst reviewed game and it's still selling like hotcakes. But as you can see here, year to date ending in November 2023. So we're kind of missing December. Obviously, we're not through December yet. But for the first uh, 11 months of the year, Hogwarts Legacy does take the crown. Then again, Hogwarts released at the beginning of the year, and Call of Duty only released about a month ago. So time will tell if this does flip. We'll look again when the December numbers are released. But um, yeah, that kind of threw me for a doozy that Call of Duty was second. I would think that it would be more down in the middle of the pack since it wasn't reviewed that well. And I think the campaign only lasted like 2 or 3 hours. So obviously people don't buy Call of Duty just to play the campaign, but still it seems like anyone will buy Call of Duty these days. It's not going to die anytime soon. One other notable thing is for title plays played on Steam, Lethal Company is second for the most active users for the month of November, which is also kind of shocking. Right behind Counter Strike 2, which I don't think that they're going to pass, but for a little indie game that just released out of pretty much nowhere, I don't think many people knew that it was coming out or that it was going to be good. Um, it shot all the way up from 115 last month to 2 this month. So kind of goes to show you that even indie games could be really great. And it's also beating Baldur's Gate 3 and the finals, which a lot of people have been playing the finals this year. So it definitely is really good for the team behind Lethal Company that they're beating all these world renowned games right now. Lastly, I just wanted to go over this article showing that the dev behind the massive Skyrim multiplayer, which was called Skyrim Together, he was previously making a mod for Starfield called Starfield Together. And he gave up because he said the game is trash, and he uploaded all of the files for someone else to finish. So um, pretty much he said, I didn't realize this until after I actually started playing the game a week after launch. The game is boring, bland, and the main draw of Bethesda games, exploration and a lively and handcrafted world, was completely gone. So he made it open source in case anyone wants to finish it, which is good that he didn't just let his work go to waste. But it's kind of sad that the person who made Skyrim Together does not want to make Starfield together, which I think would be pretty cool to play Starfield with your friends. But I think Bethesda probably should do what Total War did and maybe try and go back to the drawing board and make Starfield a little better of a game over time before abandoning it and moving on to something like the next Elder Scrolls or something. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. I do appreciate it. If you guys do like these videos, I'll try and come out with them on a more regular basis. It definitely is harder to do these videos in terms of without um, any sort of like script or anything, but I'm sure I will get better over time. Anyway, let me guys know if you guys think I could improve this series in any way, and we will catch you guys next time. Later.